Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about Magic the Gathering slang. I remember in another lifetime when I started Magic the Gathering, and it feels like every fifth word that people around me were saying, I didn't understand. It was some form of slang. And just by engrossing yourself in the community, you slowly understand that slang and start using that slang. But honestly, and speaking from experience, and I assume a bunch of other people feel this way as well, that can be really overwhelming when you first start. So I wanted to start a new series where I talk about Magic the Gathering slang, the origin of that slang, which is actually really interesting even for more experienced players, and how it's used in Magic the Gathering circles. Let's do it. The first two pieces of slang are shock myself and bolt myself. So what shock myself means is I'm doing something that deals 2 damage to myself or makes me lose 2 life. Normally this is playing what is known as a shock land, where it can enter the battlefield untapped if you pay 2 life, or enter the battlefield tapped if you don't pay 2 life. And so when you're in a match and you have one of those lands, you say shock myself when you play it, indicating that you are losing 2 life, and the land is coming on the battlefield untapped. Now, the origin of shock myself, that terminology, comes from the Magic the Gathering card Shock, which is a really vanilla, super old card that is 1 red mana, deal 2 damage. And so that slang came from that old card that is the generic deal 2 damage card. I'm dealing 2 damage to myself, I'm shocking myself. Off of that as well, there's also the term bolt myself. Bolt myself means I'm doing something that is dealing 3 damage or making myself lose 3 life. Now, normally, this is used when you crack a fetch land, which is another whole terminology, which I'll talk about in a different video. But there are lands that you pay 1 life and can search out of land. And so if you do that and then grab a shock land and shock it in, that's 3 life total. And so when you want to do that sequence, you fetch and shock, right? You grab a land from your deck and then shock it in. That would be 3 life total. And then so you just say bolt myself. So both players indicate that I'm not just losing 1 life from sacrificing the land to go grab my shock land, but I'm going to be losing 3 life total because I'm going to be playing that shock land untapped. There are other scenarios where this is used, but most of the time, that's the scenario it's used in games. Bolt myself just means I am losing 3 life. And the origin of this terminology came from the card Lightning Bolt, which, similar to Shock, is just 1 red mana, deal 3 damage, right? A super generic, super old card, and that slang is paying homage to Lightning Bolt. So I want to do 3 pieces of slang every episode, but I feel like shot myself and bolt myself are the same one. So we're going to get a bonus one this time. The second piece of Magic the Gathering slang is the mulligan. And this might be a little bit more mainstream. You know, mulligan means retrying. I actually believe the terminology comes from golf, where you try again on the same shot. But a mulligan in Magic the Gathering is when you look at your opening hand, if you don't like it, you can put it back and draw a new hand. Depending on the level of play, casual, competitive, commander, whatever, even your play group, that mulligan might look a little bit different. In competitive play, you draw 7 cards. If you don't like the hand, you put it back, draw a new 7, and then if you like that hand, you put 1 card back. If you don't like that hand, you can draw 7 again, and if you don't like that hand, you can put 2 cards back, leaving with 5, etc., until you can even go to 0 cards. But it comes from that terminology of retrying from golf. You're looking at your opening hand and retrying it. Doesn't look good, you're going to mulligan it. And then the third piece of terminology is scooping. To scoop is to concede in Magic the Gathering. And this is actually one of the most simple origins of the term. The reason scooping is conceding is normally when you finish a game of Magic the Gathering, you have a bunch of cards on the battlefield. And when you concede and when the game ends, you kind of just scoop up your cards and shuffle them back up. You know, normally in this motion. And so to scoop is to concede because you're picking up your cards. You're describing the motion it is to pick up your cards. So I hope this video is informative and kind of interesting. I really hope you like this new series. I think this would be really helpful to new players and also maybe interesting to veterans. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description, especially on Twitch, which I stream 4 to 5 times a week. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.